Welcome to Dawn of the New Earth. Today we are talking about Earth's future. Are we headed towards destruction or transformation? Are we headed towards a total collapse or the birth of a new world? Today we're going to be exploring those topics, which are incredibly important because, as you can see, all the different turmoil and destruction and division that we have in the world right now is pointing towards a cataclysmic future or the possibility of an entirely new way of existing. And we're going to be taking a look not only at this idea in general, but how this is discussed in the banned Gospel of Thomas as well, when it's discussing how to create this new earth. So that's what we're talking about today. It's a very important topic. And I want to tell you, one of the reasons that we are talking about it today is that today is the release of my new book, which is Teleocracy, Creating the New Earth. And this is what it is all about. This is something that's incredibly important to me. This is about understanding how to create a new world that fosters a new consciousness, a new humanity. And teleocracy, by the way, comes from the word telos, which means purpose. So a teleocracy is a purposeful society geared towards maximizing the quality of life for everyone. So, oh, by the way, if you want to check that out, like I said, it's released today. The link is in the description of this video where you can check out all my books. But that's what we're discussing today, my friends. Make sure you hit like and subscribe as always so that we can spread this around, spread this information, become a member if you'd like. It helps out a lot. We're having a members only stream after this. Hit the join button right below this video to do so. But here's what we're going to do. We're talking about this because, as you can see all around us, there is chaos and destruction. So what's going on? Is this the end or is it the birth pains of something new? Now, what I'm going to do is, this is something that's talked about a lot in the New Age community, about how, oh, well, we're going to have a new earth and a new birth and a new spirituality and all this. And they're tapping into an intuitive understanding of reality that is very, very true. But there's a lot of weird ideas behind it too, like, oh, you have to be part of the 144,000, or you have to have your DNA activated or something like this. When that's not true, each and every single one of you has the new earth as a potentiality within you and within us, and it's up to us to actualize it. You don't have to have special DNA or come from another planet or anything like that. Every single one of you has the power to do so. And so when we talk about the future of Earth, one of the things that we have to remember is that what happens to Earth, the path that we go down, whether it's destruction and total collapse or the brilliant birth of a new Earth, is up to us. It's in our hands. It's not something that we're just passively watching like a movie. It's something that we are actively involved in right now. That's why I say that we are the second coming of Christ, because Jesus isn't some being that's going to come down and snap his fingers and make everything better like a magic trick. Rather, the second coming of Christ is a new consciousness, and every single one of us here is involved within the birth of this new consciousness. And what we have to understand is that the world, the earth, the universe, everything in existence begins as an idea, begins in the mental domain, and then is made manifest in the physical domain. I mean, this should be something very straightforward, but a lot of people don't realize it. If you look at all the chaos, all the division, all the hatred, it is ultimately a conflict of ideas, a conflict of a fractured consciousness. So what I'm going to do for you right now is I'm actually going to read some excerpts from my book so that we can get on this topic and really see what's going on. But before I do that, before I read some of these excerpts for you here that talks about how to create this new earth, how to construct this new earth, what we need, I want to read for you some excerpts from the Gospel of Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas is one of my favorite of the Gnostic Gospels. Some people don't consider it Gnostic. I think it is. Depends how you define it. There's a lot of arguments over it. It's one of my favorites. Now, one of the reasons why I love the Gospel of Thomas so much is because the Gospel of Thomas sees the earth as our kingdom to create and manifest right here and right now. And so this ancient knowledge is incredibly applicable to us right now, right here, today, and what we are doing as Neogenians, as humans, as souls, as minds, as zetas. So let's I want to read to you some of these quotes, and I've read to you some of them before, but you're going to see why this is really important for what we need to do to transform reality. So in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, if your leaders say to you, look, the kingdom is in the sky, talking about the kingdom of heaven, then the birds will be there before you. If they say the kingdom of heaven is in the sea, then the fish will be there before you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and it is outside of you. So basically, Jesus is saying, hey, people, anyone who's telling you that the kingdom of God is in the sky or in the sea or some place you go to when you die is BSing you. They are liars. The truth is that the kingdom is within you and it is outside of you. Now, what does that really mean? We have to understand what that really means, because I think this is kind of a confusing idea for a lot of people. Well, what does that mean, that the kingdom of heaven is within you and it is outside of you? We're going to unravel that and unpack it and see why this is so important in constructing this new world, because essentially what Jesus is hitting at is the idea that the mind shapes physical reality. The kingdom is within you as a state of mind, and it is outside of you. It is all around us. And Jesus continues in this gospel by saying, when you understand yourselves, you will realize that you are sons of the living Father. So again, if you look within, if you know what you are, you will realize that, Jesus isn't the only son of God. We are all the sons of God. We are all the children of God. In other words, we are all children of light. In other words, we are all divine. We are all divinities. Again, you see why I refer to us as the second coming of Christ, because we are that resurgence of the consciousness that Christ was trying to cultivate in his time. And now it's happening in a collective way. A massive shift is occurring right now, and we need to be the catalysts of that shift. And so Jesus essentially is saying, hey, the kingdom of heaven, it's not somewhere you go. It's not in the clouds. It's not in the sea. It's inside you. And when you look inside yourself, you will realize that you are divine, and you will realize the kingdom is all around you. What do you mean the kingdom is all around you? Well, if you understand that we are God's, this is our world. This is our world. This is our kingdom to shape and mold as we so will. Everyone's trying to escape to access this Hinterwelt, this other world. But really, this world is our world. It's up to us to transform it. It's up to us to shape it. Part of transforming and evolving and growing is about learning how to work together as a collective to shape the material world. Everyone wants to escape into immaterial dimensions. Well, how do you expect to be able to master immaterial dimensions if you and we haven't mastered the physical dimension? We need to master the lower dimensions before we move to the higher dimensions. So we are here to learn, to work together, and to transform the world and shape this world as our kingdom right here and right now. And Jesus said, recognize what is right in front of you, and that which is hidden from you will be revealed to you. Again, I really love this gospel because Jesus is so straightforward about it. He's not pulling any punches. He's saying, hey, the kingdom of God, it's in you. It's all around you. Recognize what's right in front of you. Open your eyes. Look around. It's right here. What's hidden from you will be revealed if you just look, is what he's saying. And the disciples said to Jesus, tell us what the kingdom of heaven is like. And Jesus replied, it's like a mustard seed, the smallest of all. However, when it falls into worked ground, it sends out a large stem and it becomes a shelter for the birds of heaven. In other words, the kingdom of heaven is small. It's tiny. It's like an idea, but once it falls into worked ground, it grows and transforms. And that's exactly what we do when we seed the ideas of a new world through a new consciousness. It blooms into that world. And they asked him, the disciples, when is the kingdom coming? When is it coming? And Jesus replied, it's not coming in a way you can see. People will not be saying, look, it's over there, or look, it's over there. Rather, the kingdom of the Father is already spread out on the earth, and people aren't aware of it. So where is it? It's right here and right now, but it's up to us to activate it, to manifest it. It's right now in shambles because it's a reflection of consciousness. It's a reflection of ideas. And right now the world is ruled by individuals who are of a very limited, small-minded, fractured, and egotistical consciousness. And this is directly the result of the kind of world that we have today. That at the expense of the many, on the broken backs of the collective, the rich elite billionaires count their money and control the world. And so the trashy world that we have today is that way because it is built on a consciousness that is reflective of that, that manifests that. And so what we need to do to create a new world is to create a new consciousness. People are like, how are we going to create a new world? And a lot of people talk about things like legislation, new laws, etc. And while those things are important, they are, the only true, lasting, sustainable change will come from a new consciousness because that is where everything is birthed from. That's where we have to begin. That's the ground, the foundation that we need to lay in order to build a new world. And so right now the earth has two paths that it could take. It could take the path of destruction and annihilation and collapse, or all the chaos and division that we see right now could simply be the birth pains of a new world that is born into brilliance. And we have the power to take that path, but it's up to us. It's not something that we're just sitting, like I said, we're not just sitting here watching it. We are a part of it. We are the creators of it. We are the catalysts of the new beginning. And so I'm going to read to you some excerpts from my book so that we can get a better understanding of this and what's going on and what needs to be done. And like I said, this is a very general overview. Let me bring this up. So let's talk about what we need to do. We need to go from survival to thriving. Right now, the world progresses in 3 stages. Stage 1 is survival. Stage 2 is a planetary civilization. Phase 3 is Holos independence. We're not going to talk much about this because phase 3 has to do with when we come to a level of evolution where we no longer require the material world, but that's well beyond what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is going from stage 1 to stage 2. We're trying to get humanity from survival to planetary civilization. What's the difference between these two? One is about surviving, the other is about thriving. But in terms of consciousness, what's the difference between these two? Survival is based on a fractured, simple self-awareness, and planetary civilization is based on a unified consciousness or all awareness. Because remember, the way the world is will reflect the consciousness of those who are a part of that world. The world is going to manifest as a result of the level of consciousness of the individual minds that make that world up. And right now, most humans are of a simple self-awareness. Self-awareness is important because it allows us to recognize our individuality. But what else does self-awareness do? What else it does is it makes us look at the other, that which is not us, the not I, as a threat. Because you see the other, then this is an evolutionary mechanism. You see the other as that which is different from you. Thus, it poses a threat to your being. It has the possibility of negating you. And so human beings group together with those that are most like them and oppose those who are most unlike them because they see them as threats to their being. And this is what a fractured, divided, simple self-awareness does. And you can see this manifest everywhere in our world. People massacring each other because differences of sex and gender and religion and philosophy and nations. Oh, it's my nation and my God versus your nation and your God. But if they were born in a different country, they would have the completely different, if they were born in a different country or in a different body or as a different gender or different colored skin or whatever, they'd have most people would have a completely different outlook. People are just brainwashed from birth. But the idea here is that we need to move away from these silly divisions and step into a new form of consciousness. This new form of consciousness is going from self-awareness to all awareness. All awareness is where we recognize that we are still individuals. We still retain self-awareness. We recognize our individuality, but that we exist in a holistic system that is a unified network. In other words, that everything is connected and everything reflects each other. What's the difference? The difference is when I see an other, I don't see the other as a threat to my being. I see the other as complementary to my being. I see the other as being a reflection of my being, like puzzle pieces that fit together, not as an enemy to be eliminated. And this is what allows us to build a unified, teleocratic, planetary civilization. Telos, purposeful. What purpose? To maximize the quality of life for everything, for everyone. Thus, we are united together under one powerful idea that is maximizing the quality of life for all. And this manifests in many different ways, in many individual ways, but we're united together into giving ourselves and each other the best life possible. And it is abhorrent that that is seen some sort of like far off utopian idea. It should be extremely obvious. But the reason why it's not is because it literally requires a new consciousness to get there. We cannot have a plan, just like if human beings weren't self-aware, they didn't have any self-awareness, we couldn't have states and nations and institutions and laws and governments. Self-awareness is required for that. Likewise, a united planetary civilization requires all awareness. Simple self-awareness will not allow for its construction because it's a lower form of consciousness that sees the other as a threat, rather than having the awareness to realize that we exist in a unified, connected world, and the other is actually our other selves and are complementary to our being, not a threat to our being. But this requires everyone to begin to have some level of understanding of this. Now, I haven't even started here, but this starts off by saying the world is rife with war and corruption. Every day, we're bombarded by news of horrific atrocities, violation of human rights, crumbling economies, violent oppression, and civil unrest. You see this all the time. It's all over. Just turn on the news. That's all you see. These conflicts, whether sparked by territorial disputes, religious extremism, or power struggles, leave behind a trail of destruction. And resources that could be used for the development and welfare of the people are funneled into the hands of the few, widening this chasm of inequality. And this makes it nearly impossible for anyone to win. And this is why we live in an oligarchy. Those with power and wealth hoard it all at the expense of the community, at the expense of the people. Wars and violence drain resources, destroy lives, and leave lasting scars on our societies. And religious differences have been a source of conflict for ages. We have discrimination, we have all of these issues, and it is killing us. But the issue is, the answer to this is that the division that we have in our world, like I mentioned earlier, was created from our will to survive. In our development, we learned that grouping together to attack and defend against outsiders increased our chances of survival. But even though this once provided us with an evolutionary advantage, now it's killing us. Because we no longer need to fight to survive. We don't have to. We have enough resources. We have the capability to build a world that is beneficial to all. So humanity must evolve and reach the next level of consciousness, and we must realize that we must abandon what once served us, the fight to survive, so that we may unite to thrive as a planetary civilization, because the world is a living mind that is fragmented and in constant conflict with itself. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, if we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation. And this means we must develop a world perspective. That is what we require. We require all awareness, a unity consciousness to create the kingdom of God, to actualize it right here and right now. And that's what I mean when I say that it exists within you and each and every one of us, and it's up to us to actualize it, to manifest it, to make it possible. And what we need to understand is to have a bird's eye perspective to all this, and realize that we aren't just citizens of a particular nation. We aren't just citizens of even a particular world. We are citizens of the universe, and our actions carry a weight that ripples across all reality. That's why people think, oh, I can't do much to change anything. You absolutely can. A tiny change can result in a massive transformation. So Diogenes was a Greek philosopher who said, I'm not an Athenian or a Greek, but a citizen of the world. And this is the mindset that we need to cultivate. Ultimately, yes, we are citizens of the entire universe. But right now, we need to get humanity, at the very least, to understand that we are citizens of the world. And as universal citizens, our understanding of how we govern has to transform dramatically. Our policies, our social structures, our interactions must reflect the interconnectedness and unity that we share as part of the universe. And the philosopher Colin Wilson said, humankind has no alternative but eventually to become responsible for the whole universe. We are the stewards of reality. That's what it means. We are divinities. We are gods. And right now, this earth is in a trashy state because the stewards aren't doing their job. They're too busy trying to reach nirvana or trying to reach heaven or trying to ascend to the fifth dimension, rather than realizing that we are here to clean this world up, to transform it, to actualize our kingdom right here and right now for everyone. So embracing our identity as citizens of the universe requires a holistic understanding of politics, meaning we have to think beyond borders, recognize the inherent unity even in diversity, and act in ways that promote the well-being of the entire universal community. So the world right now is on the brink of a shift, which we call the new beginning or the Neogenian system. And what my book explores is a blueprint for crafting a teleocratic planetary civilization. So with all of the technological advancements and even a deep spiritual awakening that's happening across the universe, or not across the universe, but rather on Earth at the moment, humanity is on a cusp of a new stage, but it's up to us to get it there. The forces of darkness could still win. What are the forces of darkness? Ignorance. As the Gospel of Philip said, ignorance is the mother of all evil. It's not sin, it's ignorance. And it's not salvation that we need, but knowledge and wisdom and understanding. So this isn't a battle of sin and salvation or righteousness and unrighteousness. It's a battle of the forces of ignorance versus the forces of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And I think, again, you can see that playing out all around you. Just turn on the TV to see the blatant stupidity that we are mired in. And we need to be able to pull ourselves out from this consciousness of absolute shit, to be honest, and transform it into gold. That alchemical operation of transforming impurities into a new level of consciousness. That's what alchemy was all about. It was about taking gold or taking metal and transforming it into something powerful, into something gold is what they would say. But what it really meant, what it really signified, was a new level of consciousness. And that's exactly what we need to do, is reach for a new level of consciousness and realize that we are one people. Doesn't matter our race, doesn't matter our gender, it doesn't matter our sex, none of these things. Underneath it all, we are one people, and we should be celebrating our diversity. The only thing that is holding us back and standing in our way is ignorance, and that can be dispelled. And so we need to live in a world that is geared towards maximizing the quality of life for all, where we build a world that's not about control, domination, and profit, but about serving the higher purpose of humans and planetary well-being to maximize the quality of life for every individual and the collective. So what does this mean? It means restructuring everything. Economies need to be structured not on greed and negative competition and scarcity, but on collaboration, creation, and the well-being for all. When it comes to education, it should not be about breeding conformity. Our school system is based on the Prussian model of the school system, which is a factory model. So in other words, our education system is based on a factory model, not for true education, but for creating obedient soldiers, workers, consumers, and a citizenship that thinks exactly alike and does not question. That is what our schools are bred for, not for actual education. So education needs to be about nurturing a new consciousness, not about creating conformity, obedient workers, and soldiers, but about nurturing a new consciousness, developing an interconnected understanding, and empowering individuals to become their best selves. So ultimately, what we need to learn to do, and obviously there's a lot to this. Like we have to restructure everything: our economic systems, our housing systems, our access to like there's a lot of like practical things in terms of, you know, healthcare, economy, education, our justice systems. I could go on and on on each of these things. Religion, and I obviously do in my book. That's the whole point. Justice needs to be synthesized with care. Education needs to be about spiritual growth as an understanding, rather than just being fed a bunch of information so that you act like a worker and a consumer. Anyway, but when it comes down to it, all of these things are important, yes, but remember, it is all based on ultimately cultivating a new consciousness within ourselves and within each other, because we can't do any of those things until we have that new level of consciousness. And this is why we need to create the world in our image. And what does it mean to create the world in our image? Creating the world in our image means understanding that we are the absolute. We are all reality coming to consciousness of itself through itself. It's about understanding that humanity and the cosmos are not separate, but are deeply interconnected, where every individual, community, and ecosystem reflects an aspect of the universal network mind. We have to have that understanding in order to actualize a world as above, so below. We need to create a world that reflects the structure of ourselves and the universe itself. That's what it means to create the world in our image. We need to create physical reality, the structures of our systems on Earth, modeled on the same patterns as how we are structured and how all reality is structured. So to create the world in our image is to design and cultivate societies, technologies, and environments that mirror and enhance the interconnectedness, promoting unity, well-being, and sustainability for everyone. In other words, a teleocratic planetary civilization is patterned on the true nature of reality and ourselves. This means redesigning social structures to ensure that everyone has access to resources, opportunities, and support that they need to thrive. It involves creating communities that value and celebrate diversity, recognizing that each individual brings unique perspectives and abilities. By creating a sense of unity and a shared purpose, we can work together to address the global challenges and create an equitable and harmonious world. So creating the world in our image involves not only addressing material needs, but also nurturing the spiritual, emotional, and intellectual growth of individuals and communities. By cultivating environments that support creativity, learning, purpose, meaning, and personal development, we can enable everyone to realize their potential and contribute to the collective awakening of consciousness. Ultimately, we need to build the world according to that kingdom that is within each and every single one of us. So right now, we see all this chaos, we see all this division, and we see all this hatred. Why? Because it is a battle of the old consciousness versus the new consciousness, the forces of darkness and ignorance, and the light of wisdom, reason, higher consciousness, understanding. And the question is, which one is going to win? Will the light be consumed by the darkness, and would the world face total and complete collapse? Or will the darkness be subsided as we actively work to illuminate the world by shining a new light of consciousness? And this is what Jesus meant by saying that we are the light of the world. That's another thing that Jesus said, is that we are the light of the world. In other words, we are here to help bring that new consciousness, like a candle that lights another candle, until the whole world shines brighter than the most brilliant star. That's our goal. That's our mission. But it's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to us. And some people are like, oh, well, where do I begin? Well, the great thing about this is everyone is on a different journey, and everyone is at a different level and a different path. So for a lot of you out there, the journey begins with you. It begins with cultivating that consciousness and understanding that consciousness and reaching that perspective yourself, because you can't help others get there if you haven't gotten there yourself. So it's perfectly fine. You know, I know a lot of people feel powerless. Like, what can I do? I can't, go out there and make a lot of changes. Well, when you make a change in yourself, you are on the right path to creating a ripple effect that will ultimately transform reality, because as each and every single one of us work to transform ourselves, we will ultimately unlock the power to transform the world. And this is evident in Maslow's extended hierarchy. So Maslow was a psychologist who put together a hierarchy of needs. And essentially, if you look at the very top of his hierarchy, the extended hierarchy, the top two positions are self-actualization and transcendence. So self-actualization comes from reaching that higher level of consciousness, actualizing yourself. Transcendence is when now you have the ability to tap into that consciousness so that you can help others do the same. So first, it's an individual internal event. When that individual internal event reaches a certain threshold, it spills out, because now you have the ability to help others. And the way that you do so will be unique to each and every one of you. Maybe some of you will want to be involved in politics. Maybe some of you will want to create music. Maybe some of you will want to help create scientific and mathematical theories. Some of you may want to write philosophy. Some of you may want to create works of art. In any way that you find a method of expression, those ideas and systems and mediums become catalysts to get the idea across and to raise consciousness, no matter how whether you embed it in a song or a speech or a piece of art or in lyrics and music, whatever it is, you have an avenue to transform the world that you need to find within yourself. So it begins with you. Where do you start? With you, with yourself. And so the world is on a precipice right now. It can go either way. And we are the ones who are here to shift it in the direction of a universal, planetary, teleocratic, purposeful civilization where we are here to maximize the quality of life for all. And anyone is able to be a part of that. Anyone who is working on transforming themselves and transforming the world towards that positive direction is part of this. So there's a lot more to be said, my friends. I'll do more videos on this if you would like. I want you to make sure that you check out my videos. I have a lot of videos on this topic. And like I said, if you want to know more about this, my fourth book did come out today, Teleocracy, Creating the New Earth, which goes into major details on how we need to transform every system of our world, whether it's education, economy, the justice system, our ethical system of ethics, religion, etc. These are all systems that need to be utterly transformed under a new consciousness so that we can create a united world. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here today. Big shout out to everybody. I really appreciate it. And we're having a members only stream after this. Become a part of that if you'd like. You can hit the join button below this video and become a member. It helps out a lot. Help spread this information. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports, especially Renaissance Fairy, Cassidy, Angela, DB, Nusalina, Christopher, Eon, Vanessa, and Dallas. And thank you all very much. And I always want to remind you, hey, look, this is not church. You don't have to support monetarily. It's optional. I appreciate it, but you're not going to go to hell or anything. It's not required of anybody. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you all soon.